Angry Alex is back. He's been, he's not happy. He's right here. He's written something on the sheet, our docket, which tells us everything we're going to be talking about. And it just reads, Windows Update KB5066835 ruins your day. Has your day been ruined, Alex?
I mean, this morning, when I looked at it, it was actually, this is more hilarity for me, because I think Windows sucks at this point in time. Windows sucks, just like the PS3 sucks. But it's just not fit for purpose at this moment in time.
Wow.
Kind of like a lot of other things that aren't that great. Notice the 66 in there, Order 66. Just notice
this kind of suggests a Palpatine figure pulling strings behind the scenes to ruin everybody's gaming experience.
Yeah, it's like a puppet master who doesn't actually know where the puppets are. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's not very good. And so the point is, at some point in the middle of October, mine updated around October 15th, but I believe the release date was around the 11th or so for this KB patch. And it came out silently. You update your PC just updates, and you just, you should want updates usually. You should usually want these things because they can fix issues. But in this case, it introduced issues specifically. And the only way we really got a sense about it is because Nvidia released a fix, a driver fix, a hotfix driver. So it's not WHQL released through NVApp, for example, or even a beta. It's a hotfix driver that is on an entirely different site on the Nvidia site. It downloads differently even. And that KB patch silently destroyed the performance in at least 2 games. The one I tested for this video, for our little segment here, is Assassin's Creed. I loaded it up, even without having... at the moment I loaded up, I was like, I don't remember installing this patch. I couldn't remember it, but I loaded it up and I was like, oh, this runs like crap. And I knew that something was wrong. So I double checked, and after having installed the hotfix driver, you can see how big of an issue this is. This is an RTX 5090, by the way, completely GPU limited at 4K DLSS quality mode. And it takes one scene, for example, in the game's intro chapter, from 30 FPS or so, a little bit above 30, which is awful performance, by the way, for that GPU. And it takes it up to 71 FPS. That is around like a 206% performance uplift in this scene, like vis-a-vis the original number. So around like 106% performance improvement there. Other scenes, it can be at the lowest I've measured was around a 50% performance improvement by using the hotfix from Nvidia. But in other scenes, like in the city right outside, I believe that's Kyoto. I can't remember the name of the city in the game. But another roughly 100% performance increase by installing the hotfix from Nvidia. Now, there's a couple things I have to say about this. The first one is, let's just say this was a DX conformity issue, that Nvidia had a conformity issue in their driver for some reason. The whole thing is, Microsoft should tell Nvidia that, and they shouldn't silently release a patch. So if it is technically Nvidia's fault, this shouldn't be happening 1 month later. It should be coming with a WHQL that comes at the exact same time as the release of this patch. And this should maybe be attached to the patch notes of that KB patch that came out, because we've had that in before. Definitely, this was something that happened in the Windows Vista and Windows 7 era quite often when we saw API updates. If it wasn't an NVIDIA DX conformity issue, this means Microsoft is releasing patches to Windows that it is not sure what it is doing. It is silently killing performance in games, and you're kind of left with the user or NVIDIA after the fact, or AMD or Intel, having to figure this out via their own testing regimen. And hence why more than a month later, we see an update here from a hotfix driver from NVIDIA. Like, the timing is just really bizarre. And I don't think it points necessarily very good picture here of how Microsoft stewards their operating system, regardless of who's at the end of the day responsible for the actual issue occurring, because they're the ones updating their operating system. And maybe you should delay that patch until NVIDIA actually has proper support for it in their driver if it's a conformity issue. There's a lot of things that point to Microsoft just being an absolutely terrible steward for their operating system. And this is, unfortunately, I think the last maybe 2-3 months where we, like almost every other week, where we have to have a little crying 15-minute area where Alex, John, or Rich say, wow, Windows really sucks in its modern incarnation. And this is just another stack on that pile of issues. And I am quietly thinking that when the new year comes, I'm going to have a New Year's resolution where maybe I make a video of how do you transition to Linux? What is that even like? What is that like for a user? Because this is embarrassing. Like, imagine you're sitting there with your sweet, almost 3,000 USD RTX 5090 or whatever, and you're just like playing your favorite game, and it runs all of a sudden worse, and you're not even sure why. You have no clue.
Well,
bad user experience. That's bad user experience.
Microsoft is certainly putting a lot of effort into Copilot. So John asked Copilot what was going on with these driver updates. Short answer: the performance drop wasn't intentional sabotage by Microsoft. So we're going to go back towards this. Perhaps not so much a sort of Palpatine level of interference here in Windows. Maybe sort of Mr. Bean meets Palpatine.
Not sabotage.
These updates negatively affected GPU performance in certain games, leading to lower frame rates and slowdowns until Nvidia and AMD released hotfix drivers. I like the way, John's query was, why did Microsoft destroy performance in these games? And then Copilot says, why performance felt destroyed? FPS drops. Games ran at noticeably lower frame rates after the updates. Slowdowns beyond FPS. Some users reported sluggishness even when frame rates didn't drop, suggesting deeper system-level inefficiencies.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, how does this happen? Not even Copilot can actually explain how this happened. As what's the cause here? Why did frame rate go down by 50% or whatever? This is like astonishing. You tested this morning. You've got these very nice visualizations for us, and I actually saw some testing saying like a 32% drop in performance, which you did note in one of your scenes. But, I think the bottom line is those tests are probably from the inbuilt benchmark. And just by coming up with some these are the most basic of gaming scenarios. There's nothing going on in your
It's literally just loading up saves that I had made when I reviewed the game. Oh, wow.
And look at that. That's outrageous. Who is responsible? Somebody's got to basically take charge. Here's the thing that worries me, right, about Windows. It's, obviously we're hearing new things about Copilot and how great it is every week. But obviously things are going wrong on the gaming side. And I'm just going back all the way to, 2013 when the Xbox One and the PS4 are out. And, at the time it was from Microsoft, they kind of destroyed the prospects for Xbox One because it was all TV. Fast forward to 2025 and it's all AI. Meanwhile, it seems to be the people like Nvidia who are actually sort of taking control of the gaming ecosystem on PC. What's happening with DirectX? Where are the advances in DirectX? We've seen some bits and pieces, but it seems to be kind of like half-hearted attempts to standardize what NVIDIA is doing anyway. Yeah. There's a real fundamental lack of leadership in Windows gaming at the moment. And my concern is that just like TV ruined Xbox One, AI is going to ruin Windows PC. We're already seeing that things are not going well there. And foundational problems seem to take years to. Obviously, we've got advanced shader delivery coming online now, which is set to address an issue. We've literally. When was the first time you talked about shader compilation stutter? Like 4 or 5 years ago, Alex?
It was the first time was with Control, where I explicitly mentioned NVIDIA's, but it actually was kind of semi-referenced even before then. But that would be 2019 in August.
Right. So here we are, 6 years later. Over 6 years later, and it's like, maybe we should be coming up with a solution for that. 6 years. And actually, thinking about it, Alex, going back to, I guess it would be Battlefield 5, that was probably one of the first games I'm not sure whether it was that or Battlefield 1. One of the first games where, I think it was Battlefield 1, by the way, where it would horribly stutter when you started a level on that game,
Yes.
but only when you used the DX12 path. It was something like, okay, well, something's going wrong here, and we hadn't really sort of figured out what the problem was, but there was a problem there. I mean, if I was somebody in Microsoft fully aware of what was going on, then, surely the flag should have been, the red flag should have been waved at that point. Yeah, I mean, the lack of leadership here, I mean, they've got it all to lose, Microsoft, at this point, because, we got SteamOS launching, 3 years ago, palpable solutions to problems in the PC gaming space. And, they're doing great work there. Bizarre. Oliver, thoughts on this debacle, the next debacle for Windows?
Oh man, I think it's unfortunate. I was just looking through here and there's like no real documentation in the notes for this hotfix about anything that seems like it could be related to gaming performance. Like specifically, I noted that under the gaming section, they mentioned a controller input fix that I think is related to the Xbox full screen experience, but nothing about this. And then I couldn't find any other mention of anything that could seem to interface with this kind of issue. So that's certainly a concern if these things are going on and there's like poor documentation or no documentation as to what occurred. That's also potentially an issue. But I think this is like just a funny problem because like I don't like Windows very much, but the more people use Windows, which is not really me, I don't use Windows a ton, the more they seem to dislike it, at least judging from like Alex and John's experience.
Yeah.
And like I have a very casual use of Windows that basically involves booting and just sitting in the Steam big picture mode the entire time, with a controller in my hand. But even still, I run into issues, but it really seems like the more you use it, the more frustrations there are. Whereas with macOS and iOS and game consoles, I kind of always feel like the more I use them, the more I appreciate them. And I don't really run into like deep-seated issues with macOS, even though I'm using it extensively for my work and extensively with like complex applications. I don't really run into new deep issues in the same way that like even me on Premiere, I use Premiere very sparingly, but just using Premiere on my Windows machine, it like is super buggy, and that's another issue, just third-party Windows software not being very good. Well, Premiere in particular, it's also bad on Mac, so maybe I shouldn't rag on Windows there. But I don't think it's a good sign that Microsoft's most dedicated customers, who like Alex, Alex is literally spending his entire life in Windows. He's gaming in Windows, writing in Windows, he's editing in Windows, he's doing everything in Windows. He's spending all day on Windows, and he uses old Windows. He knows what that's like. He's using newer versions of Windows. He knows what that's like. If even he, your most dedicated Windows soldier, well, maybe not that, but like
we're walking off to the OS wars.
Yeah, you certainly do use it very extensively. If even you are having like, noting some big recurring issues and having issues in your workflow, I think that's just some very deep problems that Microsoft should be taking a very serious look at.
Yeah, there's also sort of a complete lack of appreciation of feedback. There's just weird things in Windows that people really hate, but Microsoft don't do anything about. I mean, one of the things I often see is the concept of a vertical sidebar for the taskbar.
Oh my gosh!
Right,
yeah,
and people are having to like hack that in. The thing, probably the thing that annoys me on a day-by-day basis is like, when you right-click on a file, it used to be that you'd have all of the options. Now you have to like press the properties button to see all the options that you used to have from one click. It's just like unnecessary friction that they're adding there. Which, the concept that the search actually brings up web results. If I'm searching for something on my PC in the way I used to, now I'm actually getting web results coming up for some reason. I mean, what's going on there?
I just want to say another thing is that I'm not exactly sure. I have German and English keyboard here. Another thing that really bothers me is that I have my Windows set to display language English, and I also have the default keyboard though set to German because I have a German keyboard, but it's set to the English version of the German keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. But if I ever use any Xbox app, it is always in German, and I cannot turn that off. I don't know. I think I have to change something about it doesn't want me to use the keyboard. Maybe that's it. But another thing, at least we're lucky though. Microsoft is on the case. According to Tom Warren of The Verge, as of November 18th, 2025. Microsoft is turning Windows into an agentic OS, starting with the taskbar. So at least soon enough, we will be able to fix our problems by just typing things into the taskbar.
Okay.
Windows fix bad stuff.
Yeah, or get
I don't have
gets
anything right
good.
now. Yeah, let me type get good.
I think
Nothing.
a lot of Apple watchers note this sometimes as well, where when Apple is going through a cycle of adding big new features, as they are right now, they tend to notice the long-standing issues maybe don't get addressed as quickly. And if there are any bugs in the OS, they start to pop up maybe a little bit more frequently. So indeed, that cycle of adding big new AI features to the operating system probably is not doing wonders for the long-term maintenance of issues, for fixing bugs, and for getting that OS into a reasonably stable position for people like Alex who have to endure it every day despite Microsoft's incursions into your copilots and your LLMs and your agentic AIs and all these different things, right?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried that Copilot's just going to lead us to a kind of, I'm sorry, Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that future.
Yeah, really, it does feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, come on, get a grip. That's
Like, yeah, I guess for me, one thing is also like the things that Copilot is going to be doing to the OS are actually not things that I would find very useful. I've talked about it before. I am very happy if machine learned programs can make my process more efficient in terms of like editing things on a timeline, organizing my footage according to the visual properties of it, for example. It's not possible to do that just yet, let me tell you that much. And it doesn't do those things. It tries to maybe write my scripts for me, but those are my personal scripts. Don't ever write my scripts. Like these are things that I don't want it to do, and it's not at all aiding me. It's actually maybe getting in the way when it keeps trying to suggest to turn itself on all the time. So like just really bad user experience for classic users, really bad.
well, not just classic users.
Average users, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Because at this point, there's a danger we won't be users.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah.